that the series is done, and we can congratulate the Boston Celtics for doing what they were supposed to do, just closing out very mature and doing all the little things. But yeah, just disappointment, sadness, but also more importantly on the positive side, this motivation. And it's just burning in my heart right now. I know so many people wanted to see us fail at this juncture. Picked us as contenders and, have so much to say at this point. So I'm just using that as fuel for the summer and coming to the season, starting from October, and just getting a good start as a team, and we could just start fresh.
Barring something unforeseen, I am really hoping that this could be my final video on the Brooklyn Nets so we can focus on teams that actually deserve to be analyzed, like the Boston Celtics, who are absolutely remarkable in the first round of the NBA playoffs. Now, before we get to the content, I wanted to let you guys know that I'm giving away $250 to 2 of my followers on Instagram. I also created a Discord community if you want to come in and just tell me how much the Lakers suck to my face. There's a link to that in the description down below. Now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? My last video on the Brooklyn Nets was when they finally got eliminated in a sweep, which is something that I wasn't even anticipating, and I was known to have a very aggressive prediction for the Celtics versus Nets series. I thought the Boston Celtics were going to win in 5. Instead, they won in 4. Now, ultimately, my feelings about this is the very first thing we got to do is give the Boston Celtics their props, which I didn't do in my Kevin Durant video because that video was solely focused on Kevin Durant's career decisions. This video is more focused on the Celtics versus Brooklyn Nets series and the aftermath of it. Ultimately, it didn't work out. The Brooklyn Nets did everything they possibly could to make this season work, and to be honest, there's a lot of Brooklyn Nets fans that absolutely want Steve Nash's head on a stake. But my response to them was, really, what did you expect? You're going up against the #1 defense in the league, who is notorious for the depth that they have, who are really hitting a groove, and are probably featuring the most talented team that they've had in recent memory. I don't like this narrative that in 2018, LeBron James carried the Cleveland Cavaliers past a Boston Celtics team that featured a young Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, featured with Marcus Smart, Marcus Morris, Terry Rozier, and a younger Al Horford, which by the way was a remarkable series at that. And that series went to 7 games. Because you're facing off against a very young Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, the makeup of the team was significantly different. Their head coach was significantly different. It may have taken some time for chemistry to be built, and I'm not saying that LeBron James couldn't do it again 4 years later because he's not in a situation to prove whether he could or could not. I just don't like the narrative of, oh, LeBron was able to beat this exact same team 4 years ago, but Kevin Durant was not able to do it with a team that was completely devoid of depth, that didn't have an opportunity to really gel together and become cohesive. Bear in mind, Kyrie Irving barely played this season at all whatsoever, and when he was playing during the NBA playoffs, he was fasting Ramadan. Now, don't get it twisted, just because I'm defending Kevin Durant doesn't necessarily mean that I don't think he's without his faults. I just feel like he wasn't placed in a situation to have very much success, and I feel like people's expectations of this Brooklyn Nets team were way too high. If they had Ben Simmons come back maybe 3 months ago, then maybe that you can make an argument that they could have potentially beaten the Boston Celtics, or at least made it a competitive series at the very least. But alas, that isn't what happened, and hopefully Kevin Durant starts to realize this. Now the Brooklyn Nets are entering an offseason filled with questions, and I'm gonna be honest, this season had a very similar conclusion to the way last season was. Not in the same exact round and in the same exact way, but in the sense that injuries really placed a damper on this team. And in both seasons, Kevin Durant was playing extreme minutes. I mean, yes, he was struggling against the Boston Celtics in Game 2 and Game 3 for that matter, but you can't deny this man's intensity. He played 47 minutes in the Brooklyn Nets final game against the Boston Celtics. And the one thing that I want to consistently bring up over and over again, whether you agree with what I said about Kevin Durant before or not, and bear in mind, I am no Kevin Durant fan. I will always loathe him for joining the Golden State Warriors, but at the same time, I respect him as one of the best best scorers of our generation. But it seems like his teammates aren't as focused on his legacy and on winning as he is. I mean, you don't have to be a genius to look at Kevin Durant and tell that this man is very much disturbed by the chatter that is surrounding him. I mean, look no further than what happened between him and Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley just said this on Inside the NBA.
All these guys can play, but please don't tell me you're a great player and you're averaging 20. I don't think I ever played in the playoffs and averaged 20.
Here we go.
Is Kevin Durant a great player?
He is.
And he's been stifled by Boston.
And
I was going to go there.
And let me tell you something. I don't want to badmouth the dude. See, you guys always talk about that championship stuff. I try to tell y'all, all these bus riders, they don't mean nothing to me. If you ain't driving the bus, don't walk around and talk about you a champion. If you riding the bus, I don't want to hear it. Come on, Shaq, tell them. All these guys walk around with these championship rings. Hey, y'all bus riders. But let me tell you something.
2 in a row, Chuck.
When you the bus driver and you got all that pressure where you have to play well or you going to get the blame, that's a different animal.
Kevin Durant would fire back at Charles Barkley probably immediately. And Kevin Durant fired back at Charles Barkley with a very interesting point, might I add, saying where would Chuck be without the homies? Posting a picture with him on a loaded Philadelphia 76ers team that featured the likes of Dr. J and Moses Malone, and even posted a picture with him and Scottie Pippen and Hakeem Olajuwon towards the twilight of their careers on the Houston Rockets, which, to be honest, I don't really consider that to be a super team. I really consider that to be 3 washed up Hall of Famers trying to hopefully combine with one another to win a championship, and it blew up in their face, unfortunately. Charles Barkley was not the same player at that point. Neither was Hakeem Olajuwon, unfortunately. Scottie Pippen had a horrific year, and he didn't get along with Charles Barkley at that. But that's besides the point. I'm not here to hate on Kevin Durant for going to Brooklyn to attempt to carve out a legacy for himself, because I understand he felt like the Golden State Warriors were Steph Curry's team, and he wanted to go to a team that truly felt like his own, which is why he went to the Brooklyn Nets and teamed up with Kyrie Irving. Unfortunately, his teammates just don't seem to be as into winning as he is, and my latest example of this is unfortunately what happened with Ben Simmons. Now, before this article came out, in my video on Kevin Durant, I mentioned how, hey, maybe it's a lot to ask of Ben Simmons to do this, but even if you are hurt by an injury, if you could at least check into the game to indicate that you are doing everything that you possibly could in order to get out there and you truly want to play in these games to show your teammates that you're locked in and buying in and are all in on this team, then even if you're in for 8 minutes and then you're like, oh, my back hurts, and you have to check out, people would respect you. The Brooklyn Nets would respect you. Yes, of course, there might be some individuals that will roast you and say, oh my God, Ben Simmons couldn't even play 10 minutes in a playoff game. At the very least, and let me know in the comment section down below if you agree or not, people would respect you. And that's why I was so shocked, because originally Ben Simmons was targeting a Game 4 debut. Now, I did say that temper your expectations even though Ben Simmons is going to come back for Game 4, supposedly, because even once he comes back for Game 4, he still doesn't have basketball conditioning. He has yet to play a game with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and his brand new Brooklyn Nets team. He still has to understand how Steve Nash runs his offense. But when you have a head coach that is known for dealing with back issues throughout his entire career, yes, look it up, Steve Nash did deal with back issues throughout his career, and in his most crucial moments would still play games, to say that you have a mental block and that's why you're not playing is a huge red flag. You might be saying, what the hell are you talking about, Mike? Well, get a look at this. According to none other than Shams Charania, and this is just a horrific look for Ben Simmons, and I'm really sorry, Brooklyn Nets fans, because I did think that the trade for Ben Simmons did make a lot of sense. I did think that Ben Simmons was going to bring you guys a lockdown defender that you could stick on a player like Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown or eventually Giannis Antetokounmpo to at least slow them down, not necessarily lock them down. I did think it made sense to also get Andre Drummond and Seth Curry and get some draft capital that you mortgaged for James Harden in return. But when this man is consistently showing how little work ethic he has, man, it's really crappy to be committed to a guy like this. Originally, about a year ago, my one issue with Ben Simmons was the fact that he was a jump shot away from greatness. Hell, you had Kobe Bryant saying that if he entered the gym and developed a jump shot, it would be remarkable for his career. And if he didn't, he would regret it. When the late, great Kobe Bryant, and this drives me nuts, when the late, great Kobe Bryant is telling you that you need to develop a jump shot if you want to become one of the greats, then if you aren't developing developing a jump shot, that's a testament to your work ethic. Developing a jump shot is the most work ethic based skill in the entire NBA. But of course, we left that narrative in the past because this past year, we just wanted to see Ben Simmons play. The new look Brooklyn Nets with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant as the isolation masters handling the scoring, Ben Simmons running the open court and playing defense. That's something we wanted to watch. Maybe a Ben Simmons and Kevin Durant pick and roll, a Ben Simmons Kyrie Irving pick and roll, Ben Simmons running the floor with the second team of the Brooklyn Nets and being utilized in a similar role as he was with the Philadelphia 76ers. But the latest testament to Ben Simmons' lack of work ethic is just a horrific look. Because according to Shams Charania, Ben Simmons told Nets leadership that a mental block for him to play is creating stress as a trigger point for his back issues. Now, okay. Now look, I don't want to come off as insensitive because I guess I should kind of be sensitive to mental issues that cause physical pain for basketball players that are getting paid millions of dollars. But what bothers me is it seems like even the Nets players and coaches are getting tired of Ben Simmons' shit, because Nets players and coaches wanted Ben Simmons to show resolve and play in this series, even if it was for limited minutes. Could you just imagine Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving coming up to you and saying, Ben, please, even if it's for like 5 minutes, at the very minimum, check in and do whatever you can so we could advance in this playoff series. But Ben Simmons saying, no, I'm too traumatized from getting my ass kicked against the Atlanta Hawks last year, and I don't want people to hate me, and it's causing a trigger point for my back pain, so I cannot play. Let me know if I'm being insensitive. I could be an insensitive douchebag, and you guys could check me in the comment section, and you guys are my subscribers, so I'll 100% respect you if you check me in the comment section. But that is by far one of the most bizarre things I think I've ever heard in my life, and I was a YouTuber when Markelle Fultz forgot how to shoot a basketball. So honestly, I don't know where the Brooklyn Nets go from here. Do you maybe try to trade Ben Simmons? Do you work with him in the offseason? Is this someone that you even want to develop? Is this someone that is showing you that has the work ethic, that wants to win a championship? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section down below, because we could all agree on one thing. This is a horrible look for Ben Simmons. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.